Welcome to Real Life Topics Podcast, guys. You guys already know what time it is. It's Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. You guys already know what time it is. Welcome to Real Life Topics. The views that we express on this program are not of those of Biggs Radio. They are its subsidiaries, affiliates, or sponsors. It's WCHI Gas Biz Radio Chicago taking you from the 8 track to the latest app. Welcome, Real Life Topics Podcast audience and Biggs Radio audience. And today, of course, you guys already know we keep coming with the exclusive interviews, and we also have a guest co host today, Mr. Thomas Hippler, better known as Tommy Gunz. And if you guys do not know of who Tommy Gunz is, Thomas Hibbler, better known as Tommy Gunz, he is a radio broadcasting veteran, an on-air personality to A&R, a father, a visionary, a mentor, an entrepreneur, and so many other things that Thomas Hibbler, better known as Tommy Gunz, have going on. Real Life Topics Podcast and Biggs Radio audience, please welcome Thomas Hibbler, better known as Tommy Gunz. Tommy Gunz is in the building, guys.
All right.
Welcome, Mr. Tommy Gunz, to Real Life Topics.
Yeah. All right, what's good? How you feeling tonight?
How you doing this evening?
Hey, you know what? I always say when people ask me that, I say I'm glad I woke up this morning. That's number one. So I'm glad to be alive, and everything else gonna work itself out. But life be lifing. But got to keep pressing through it. You know what I'm saying?
So could you tell Real Life Topics audience who is Thomas Hibbler, better known as Tommy Gunz?
Hey, it's funny when you say my name like that. I got a friend, and I got to shout her out real quick. Shannon Harris. She's a amazing entertainer, singer. But listening to you say my name like that, she says my name like that, and it's just so funny to me because she always be like bullying me because I just want to be Gunz. You know what I'm saying? And so when she feel like getting at me, she'll say my name exactly like that. So I find it hilarious. I can't even get my show started with her. But I mean, who I am outside of my radio personality is that, what I'm saying, I'm a Chicago kid, true and blue. I have a saying on my show, South Side born, East Side bred, West Side raised. When I open up my radio show, the Bridging the Gap show, because those are all the places that I lived in the city. You know what I mean? And so I had all these different experiences early on in my life growing up, and then living out in the hundreds and stuff like that, going to school on the West Side, Maxwell and Hall. Shout out to all my people in Barbara Jean Wright, Maxwell Street. You know what I mean? I lived out west and I went to school at Dunbar. You know what I mean? And got an opportunity to go there. Dunbar's a vocational high school at the time, and they had a bunch of different vocations, and music was always a part of my life growing up as a kid. You grow up in Chicago, your families get down like that. The stepping, it's house music, it's gospels, all that kind of stuff. And that's the environment that I grew up in. And so when I got a chance to go to Dunbar, and then they put a microphone in my hand and told me I could do it for a living, I got locked in. And but like I say, kid from Chicago who doesn't have a different story from anybody else. You come from the struggle, and I've made something of myself, and greater than what I come from. So what I'm saying, I'm a man who loves music and enjoy life, and want to do my best to be as positive as possible.
What inspired you to start this path? You're breaking up a little bit.
Say that one more time.
What inspired you to pursue your path?
Yeah. Like I say, I'm a late 70s baby. Grew up You know what I mean? And so that the 80s, 90s, you know, my father and people in my family listening to guys like Kent at the time and Troy Tyler early on in my radio experience. Those were two individuals that really like I liked the delivery that they were giving, you know what I'm saying, as far as radio was concerned. And then it was guys like Don Cornelius, the Soul Train, you know what I'm saying, and it's a real big inspiration to me. And so, you know, I looked at them three starting off, you know what I mean, as far as my radio career is concerned. But then, you know, it's people like Michael Jackson and James Brown that really inspired me, you know what I'm saying, to even want to be in entertainment. And so you know, just some radio legends out there, man, that really paved the way for me. Got me started. Shout out, much respect to a guy named Pink House. Pink House was the originator of Wednesday Night Rap House, which was heard on 89.3 FM WKKC. And you know, in the 90s, we didn't have a whole lot of options as far as hearing rap music and things like that on the radio. And so WKKC was a college radio station, but you know, Pink House was like vibing with all the hip hop stars. And so it was just like, so gravitated towards that. So, you know, Pink House was a real close inspiration because, you know, at that time I'm younger, looking at some of the older ones that I named. I was just like, they was almost like, to me, legend status and untouchable. But Pink House was a lot more relatable because he was, you know, because he was younger and, you know, just kind of same type of vibe. And so got to show love to Pink House.
Shout out to Big's radio station manager, Miss Kimberly Patterson, for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in to Real Life Talks podcast and Big's Radio. Faith, I was doing a lot of research on you, if you didn't know, for the whole week. And one thing that pointed out to me that drew into me that faith played a big role in your career. Could you elaborate on that? We got a bad connection here, but it's okay.
Yeah, I think we kind of breaking up a little bit, so I'm getting some of your questions, but not all of it.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's the internet. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so faith played a big role in your career. Could you elaborate on how faith played a big role?
Oh yeah, definitely. And in order to become anything you want to be in life, you gotta believe, right? And believing comes from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And it comes from somewhere that's a thought in our mind. You know what I mean? And it's like, where does that thought come from? Why do we just out of nowhere have a thought to want to do something in life? It don't, you know, regardless of what it is, the vocation is like, where does that thought come from? Where does that passion and fire come from? You know what I'm saying? Because most times it's not what we give ourselves, is what we inherit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And because I understand that, you know, we inherit these things, you know, and then going through, you know, like say personal life struggles, you know, broken family and being split up and all that kind of stuff and moving from place to place. At one point in time in my life, I didn't believe. You know what I mean? I didn't believe that, you know, God was real and this entity and all that kind of stuff that I heard people talk about because, you know, at that time my life was so hard, you know, as a kid. So, you know, I didn't believe. But 1999 was a year that changed my life. You know what I mean? I moved from Chicago and went down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, with a friend of mine, you know, one of my best friends at the time. And, you know, had some experiences down there that let me know that God was real. You know, so I went from not believing and I went from doubting, which is what my name means, you know what I'm saying? Anybody that's on that level, Thomas was the doubter. He didn't believe until he saw. And so, you know what I'm saying, that's how I was living my life up until that point. I didn't believe. And you know, once I had that experience, you know what I'm saying, I came back and I understood, like, even though I've been going through things up until that point in my life, that it was a purpose bigger than just my personal experiences. You know what I'm saying? And so, I took hold of that message, and I've tried to, not, of course, nobody is flawless. We all have things that we shouldn't do, and places we shouldn't go, and things of that. And so, but I always, from that point on, I knew that, God was real, and I had a purpose more than just playing music. You know what I'm saying? More than just, entertaining. You know what I'm saying? You look at it like as a way to be able to help and give back. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a big purpose of mine, is to, utilize my platform as outreach. You know what I'm saying? And faith plays a big part in that, because at the end of the day,
Can you hear me? Unfortunately, we having a bad connection. We're having technical difficulties with the signal. But yes, I can hear you. It was just breaking up. Is there something in generally that some people don't know about Tommy Gunz that you would like to share with us?
Yeah.
Let's try to go. Okay.
I mean, all right, go ahead.
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me? I was asking, are there anything that you wanted the audience to know about Tommy Gunz that we just might not know about radio personality Tommy Gunz?
Oh yeah, I mean, for those that don't know me, but those that do know me know that I'm a hell of a dancer. I love to dance. I'm so Chicago with it, like footwork and house music. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm a dancing personality. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people know that, but for those who are just being introduced to who I am, like if you see me outside, you know where to find me. If the DJ rocking, I'm on the dance floor all night. You know what I'm saying? So I enjoy dancing.
Do you have some rhythm? Are you
pretty
just
great
up there
cook,
dancing, or do you know how to dance?
But a lot of people don't. Like I said, I'm from Chicago. I'm about that life. Now I'm
okay.
about that life. I'm about that life.
Okay.
Footworking and everything. However you want it. West side, south side style, I give it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bridging it. I want to dwell a little bit on Bridging the Gap show. Are you able? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we having some delays, some technical glitches.
Okay. Bridging the Gap show. Could you elaborate on Bridging the Gap show?
Okay, yeah. Well, like the Bridging the Gap show is a variety show that airs Monday through Fridays, where I play a variety of music, top 40 hits, throwback classics, and I use an hour for independent artists. And that's something that most primetime radio shows don't do. Independent artists are normally heard just on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? Fridays, Saturday. I was a manager at one point in time. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. Like you said, it's a delay, but I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. All right, cool. So yeah, I was like I said, I was a manager at, and just going around the different radio stations, because I had the experience. Like I say, I Dunbar, KKC, Chicago State, Crawford Broadcast, and I had worked at all these different places. And so when I was managing, I would go to like the music directors and program directors, and it was always a difficult time to try to get artists placed. And so what I said to myself was, if I ever, once I get the opportunity to do it, because I knew that I would, that, I would play independent artists alongside, some of our favorite artists. And I do that because, I understand that our favorite artist was an independent artist at one time in their career, and they needed somebody to believe in them. You know what I mean? And so, that's why I created, saying the BTG artist spotlight feature, where I talk, I play all independent artists and things like that. So yeah, so that's what our show is all about, man. It's about inspiring, encouraging, and listening to some great music at the same time. I don't focus on a lot of negativity, you know what I'm saying, because it's enough of that out world. And so, just try to do things a little bit differently, on my show, and saying I want to take us away from the things that we go through when we listening to, saying music together. And that's what the Bridging the Gap show is an experience.
How long has the Bridging the Gap show been out?
Okay, I've been doing the Bridging the Gap show for about 10 years. Been doing it for 10 years. Started off at Chicago State. I was the CMAT major over there. Shout out to all my CSU Krugers. I was a CMAT major, and one of the shows that I did, in between classes and stuff like that, was the Bridging the Gap show. At that time, and so yeah, so it started in about maybe 2002, 3. That was just the concept of it. But once I got an opportunity to come on Hit USA Radio, where I'm the program director now, and I got an opportunity to be able to put that on in prime time. And so it's been working out, but that's what the show is all about. And like I said, I play independent artists Monday through Sunday, 2 different shows.
What do you think is the biggest difference on air today compared to 10 years ago?
I missed the end of that question.
What do you think the difference is today being on air than it was 10 years ago when you first started on air?
Oh man, it's a huge difference. You know what I'm saying? There's a huge difference. Now, like I say, I'm at my basement. You know what I'm saying? When I first started doing radio, it was no remote broadcasting like this. You know what I'm saying? You have to go into a studio. You had to go into a building, and you know what I'm saying? You had to sit in your soundproof booth, you know what I'm saying, to have an engineer on one side and the host on the other side. And that was like, with the advancements of technology, you know what I'm saying, we get to do things like having this conversation right now, you know what I'm saying, but doing it from the comforts of our own home versus having to go somewhere else. So that's the major change is just the technology, you know what I'm saying, and then you add, social media to it as well. So, you know what I'm saying, at one point in time, I had an idea of wanting to do it, but at the time just didn't have it. Not just the idea for you, somebody else has that idea too, and that's the person who act on it, and somebody acted on it and started, bringing cameras into the studio and stuff like that. And fast forward, here we are. You know what I'm saying? That's the major difference as far as radio is concerned. Like, you do it if you want to, and I'll just come in the game now with a different level of experience. You know what I'm saying? I got over 30 years in radio. You know what I'm saying? From the college experience, actually from the high school experience on up to the professional ranks.
Okay.
So, I had history with me, and I work for everything that I've gotten in every place I've been. And, I look, it's all a blessing.
It's definitely a blessing. It's definitely a blessing to be in the same for a whole 20 to 30 years. What was your most memorable moment since you've been doing this whole thing? Could you share with us your most memorable moment being on air, or funniest moment?
Well, yeah, I got a couple of them. I got a couple of them. My first major interview, this was in high school now, the Dunbar. I'm talking the 90s. So this was around 90 to interview Don Cornelius. That's my first major interview. So
Wow.
shout out once again, Dunbar Vocational High School. created that opportunity for me. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Mr. Lucas, who was the TV broadcast instructor at the time, and I was just dedicated because I was hungry. Especially at that time, early on '90s. I love music, all that stuff. But Don Cornelius was like my first major interview ever. You know what I'm saying? And so I was just like, man, I was like, well, I asked myself, where did I go from here? You know what I'm saying? Like who else got an opportunity to interview MC Hammer? At that time, MC Hammer was cracking. And so those were like my two major interviews starting off in radio.
Okay. So what's coming up for Tommy Gunz? What's going on coming up in the future? What's coming up for Tommy Gunz in the future? What Tommy Gunz got going on that's coming up?
Oh man, what don't I have going on? Like I got a saying, man. If you don't work, you don't eat. And so the thing is to always just stay consistent. You know what I'm saying? I stay consistent. So beyond doing the Bridging the Gap show, we're working on a podcast myself. Shout out to the Content Cartel. We're working on a podcast ourselves, and we're gonna be featuring independent artists and having some conversation. The name of the show is Music, Mental Health, and Money. It airs on Hit USA Radio and is going to be syndicated on 97.5 in Las Vegas, where we're talking about all those three topics: music, mental health, and money. We're sharing experiences and stuff like that, and gonna have some interviews in between it. And so that's the thing that we're building around now. And then supporting our homie B Cole with the Friday night comedy show experiences. We support that movement as well. And so, just hey, shout out to B Cole, you know what I'm saying? Cobble Sports and the whole nine, shot fly comedy. That's the most immediate thing that I have going on, outside of doing voiceover work and like that. And when I get an opportunity to do some speaking engagements, putting that on the books as well.
Of course, because you are a event host as well. So you're a jack of a lot of all trades, not just an event host. You're the program director of A&R as well.
Yeah. Hey, yeah. I mean, when, like I say, when you work in entertainment, you have to find your place. I mean, and and able to consistently and multiple spaces. And so, like I'm always trying. Like I said, I'm always networking, man. I'm always.
I guess we're having a bad signal. Nevertheless, Thomas Hibbler, better known as Tommy Gunz, from the Bridging the Gap show, radio personality, been in the game for over 20 to 30 years. If you guys are not familiar with Tommy Gunz, please just check him out on Bridging the Gap show Monday through Friday. Also, we have a topic that we're going to talk about today, and we're matching up the topic with, of course, Mr. Tommy Gunz, because he is a single father. And so fatherhood is important.
Bad connection.
Very bad connection. Maybe you can log in and log back out. Let's try logging in and logging back out to see if the signal goes through. And we're going to just play a couple of commercials in the meanwhile. And we also have another guest coming up as well, because, of course, the topic of today, Biggs Radio and Real Life Topics podcast, is the importance of fatherhood.
Akron Music Seminar. You don't want to miss it.
All right, hold on.
Hey, we are Biggs Radio Chicago, and we're coming to Akron, Ohio. It's there.
Well, there you have it, guys. Of course, June 27th, Biggs Radio is having another music seminar. So make sure you go to www.biggsradio.com for more information. If you want to perform, you better get down to Ohio. I'm just saying, guys. Nevertheless, Mr. Tommy Gunz, can you hear me now? We're still having a bad signal, but that's okay. The topic of today is about fatherhood. So again, we have another guest that we're going to bring onto the stage. Another entrepreneur, another single father, because of course the topic of today is about the importance of fatherhood. Mr. Hassan Blount. Of course, you have the roofing company. You are again a single father, and Mr. Hassan Blount, better known as Numbers, because you are a rap artist as well. Please welcome to Real Life Topics Podcast and Biggs Radio audience. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? It's muted.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I can't hear you for some reason.
Okay. So what again, our topic of today is about the importance of fatherhood. And of course, Mr. Tommy Gunz, you are a single father. And could you
maybe take me on and bring me back?
Could you tell Real Life Topics audience and Biggs Radio audience what is your definition of the importance of fatherhood?
I mean, well, fatherhood is extremely important because the man helps a child identify themselves when they're first born. You know what I'm saying? Your father is going to send you on a direction that is going to pave the way for you for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? So a father speaks life, he gives directions, he gives instructions, along with, protecting and providing. And, then we are the first male examples that our children have. And so based on, the things that we feed into them is normally the product that we get, on return for being able to build our children.
That is true.
So, a father is extremely important.
A father is definitely extremely important. And I, of course, always do research. If you can put it, let me put it on mute. Let's see. I always do research on topics that we talk about, and I did research on the importance of fatherhood and why it is important. And it's also because it significantly improves a child's social emotional development, higher self-esteem, academic performance. It lowers the rates of behavioral issues. And it's a model for healthy relationships. So those are really big pointers, especially the behavioral thing. I think a lot, of course, 85% of young males or females that have behavioral issues don't have a father in the home.
Don't have a father. And having a strong man in our lives is important. Regardless of the things that I went through in my life, like my father has always been there for me. So I got a direct example of what manhood sounds like, what it looked like, what it feels like. You know what I mean? And I knew at the time I didn't necessarily I took for granted the relationship that I had with my father. But I knew, like most of my friends growing up, they didn't have their fathers in their life. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, growing up, I just think like, you know, it's I'm thinking it's commonplace, but as I got older, I realized that it's not commonplace to have, you know what I'm saying, especially from the 90s on up. You know, the 70s created this stigma, you know what I'm saying, took the man out of the house. And if you want to destabilize any community, take the man out. Because like I say, once again, a man is the head, he's the structure, he's the, you know what I'm saying, the disciplinary, he's the one that's going to speak life, you know what I'm saying, into his child. And when you take the man out of the dynamics, you know, everything is out of balance.
That is true. What do you think the biggest challenges that fathers face?
Oh man, so many to name. You know, one is the myth that, you know, Black fathers aren't there. You know what I'm saying? That's the first thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's so far from the truth. You know what I mean? And they tell us everything that a man can't do as a father, as a parent, you know. And so, you know, we're up against odds already, just based off of that fact. And then it's like men don't necessarily have the support structure that women have. You know what I'm saying? So that's another obstacle that we have. So here it is that, you know what I'm saying, you a father, it doesn't, regardless of how many kids you have. You know what I'm saying? Most men don't necessarily have a group of men that they can go to and talk about fatherhood. You know what I'm saying? So like I say, it's a number of different battles that we fight on a daily basis as being men, as being fathers. And so, you know, and then you, like I say, and that lack of having an outlet, you know what I'm saying, as a man, you know what I'm saying, is another obstacle. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, you know, now who do you vent to when you're going through it as a man? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like we have a number of different obstacles that we face, you know, and just like
Yes.
based off of some of them statistics that you was reading, you know what I'm saying? Like we know the difference between who's being raised and who is not. And I'm not even putting a cap on male to female, but we can see the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
When most,
85%. It is
that's what I'm saying. So
85%.
just like when most kids are raised by a strong man, they have less problems. But in the same instance, when those same or kids in general are raised by a single woman, unfortunately, sometimes, you know what I'm saying, they get a lot of the emotional aspect. And that's destructive to development, you know what I'm saying, or it slows development down to a degree. Not saying that women can't raise children, because they do all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's just a certain attributes. Like I have 5 children, 3 boys, 2 girls. Like I can teach my daughters a lot of things when it comes to just life. But when it comes to being a woman and femininity, I don't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? So now this is when the parent comes in to play the other one. You know what I'm saying? Which is in regards to that is their mother. You know what I'm saying? Now she come into play. Now you have to give her the other parts that I can't give. You know what I'm
That is
saying?
true.
Yeah.
That is true. But the Father in the Home Foundation is definitely something that has to be there. I know my boys get away with a lot of stuff with me, but when Dad comes in, he shut it down,
Shut
and
it
it's
down.
just
Shut
a
it
big
down.
difference. It's just a
Yeah.
big difference.
Yeah. And you know, and like I said, it's not about ruling with an iron fist or being, you know what I'm saying, a taskmaster, so to speak. Like Nas, it's just about having expectation. The better the expectation, the more is obtainable. But when you don't have an expectation, you just do anything.
That is
Any and
true.
everything is acceptable when there
Yeah.
is no expectation. And so, you know, what I've done with my kids and their friends, because I've also been a mentor, you know, so I've mentored kids as well, you know what I'm saying? And I did it in a slick way when me and their mother separated. You know, I was, you know, like I say, I'm a single father, is 4 kids in the house, and I got to figure out how to make everything work. So I was blessed. I was blessed with an opportunity to start a mentoring program in Ford Heights. You know what I'm saying, where we were, you know, living at the time, and that put me in direct vicinity. So I'm working at the school district, and I'm a mentor, so I get a chance to be around my kids and not necessarily watch over them, but just kind of see how they move. But I was also able to build relationships with their friends because I understood like most of their friends didn't have no real strong man in their life. You know what I'm saying? And so how I got to my kids was through their friends.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
is true. That's a good strategy. Now that's
yeah,
a wonderful strategy.
yeah, and it's like I said, just I've had a bunch of different jobs in my life too, and one of them I worked in education. I worked in the elementary and high school level in Chicago, Gary, and out in Fort Heights. So and so one of the things was like, if I can work what my kids are, now I'm not going, like I say once again, I'm gonna let them be kids, let them do what they do. Now they're not gonna be perfect, but one of the things I always told them, like, you can be excellent. Perfection, you'll never get that. You know what I'm saying? But excellence is achievable if you just put your mind to it. If you stay focused on what you're doing, you can be anything. But at the same time, I step out of the way and just allow them to grow. And I think as a man and as a father, my job and my role is to develop what I see in them and not make them become what I want them to be. You know what I'm
That
saying?
is
And that's,
true. Yeah.
you get them parents that want to live through their kids. So I'm gonna make you this. Or I grew up to be, I grew up to be a doctor, so you're gonna be a doctor. Or I grew up to be a hooper, so you gonna hoop. Like, no. What we see in our children, we supposed to develop that. You know what I'm saying? Because our children are on loan to us, just like we were on loan to our parents. And so, what I'm saying, we just gotta, if we want to break the cycles, we gotta understand that, like, okay, whatever talents and gifts I see in you, let me put you in an environment so I know you can at least develop them and try to thrive. You know what I'm saying? So excellence was always, achievable. And like I say, me working in the school district with them, I was able to, work with them and their friends at the same time and have fun because I was teaching them how to do radio and, showing them how to make PSAs and stuff like that too. So
That's true. Well, we want to welcome Hassan Blount, better known as Numbers, to Real Life Topics podcast and Biggs Radio audience. Of course,
Hassan,
he
what's
is a
good, bro?
full-time single father of 2 children as well.
All
And
right.
he's also an entrepreneur. So,
That's what's
Mr.
up.
Hassan Blount, welcome to Real Life Topics podcast and Biggs Radio audience. Welcome.
Thank you for the
All
warm
right.
welcome. Nice meeting you, Tommy, brother. Nice meeting both of you all. I appreciate the warm welcome. Man, I got a lot to say on this topic. So
All right,
Okay,
let's
we
go.
breaking up a little bit. We breaking up just a little
Yeah.
bit,
Hey, look,
Mr.
but
Blount.
but you know what it is when you have conversations and stuff like this, that's that negative energy. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
that.
Because this,
I was just getting ready to say that the devil always tries to
yeah,
work his number when you're
yeah,
yeah,
talking about a
yeah,
topic of importance,
of
of it,
important.
truly
Yeah,
100% of importance, because it is very
well, the
important
devil
that
want to stop
fathers
my
are in
voice
the
because
household. I'm
facts.
sorry.
yeah, I hear him. I
Oh, I
just
didn't
can't
mean
see
to
him. But he,
interrupt. No,
now he on what we on.
Well, Hassan Blount, can you tell Real Life Topics podcast and Biggs Radio podcast audience who is Hassan Blount, better known as Numbers?
yes, Hassan Blount is a multifaceted individual who is a full-time father and has been a full-time father for the better part of a decade. Although I may not look it, I have been a full-time father for the better part of a decade. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a roofing company called Phil & Sons Roofing with my good friend from high school. We're 50-50 owners, as well as a musician. I've done open for big artists, traveled around the country with music as well. And that's another passion of mine that I'm deeply vested in as well.
And of course, you are a father, a single father
Full
of that.
time,
About that.
full
Yes,
time
full
single
time,
father
All the
too.
time. Yeah.
full time father. Could you please tell Real Life Topics audience, podcast audience, and Biggs Radio audience what is importance of fatherhood to you?
A father is a key ingredient in raising a productive, healthy child. Um, it's not something that's to be taken lightly. A father is essential to the raising of a child if you want that child to be a fully functional adult in this society. And the
What
numbers
do
will bear that out.
the numbers will 85% of children that are fatherless are imprisoned and are in jail, and 85% of children that are in jail have come from fatherless homes. So that shows you right there how important it is for fathers to be in children's lives, even mentors as well. What do you
That's it.
guys think about the importance even of the surroundings other than the actual biological father?
Well,
I feel like,
I mean, it's just like with anything. It takes a village to raise a child. You know what I'm saying? And so just because you got a single father, you got a single mother too, but it still takes that same village.
yes,
You know what I'm saying? So that we got to kind of get back to that as a people, as a community, as a culture. We got to get back to that. Like somebody that's an experienced adult with good intentions should be able to say something to your child if they out of order.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we don't have that anymore in a lot of cases. I think coaches are a very good thing that's essential to a young man. Hopefully, all young men get to experience some type of sports. You get that camaraderie, being around other
Right.
young men. You get those coaches who can tell you something, teach you something, guide you. You respect them. You know, they're stronger than you most of the time, bigger, stronger than you. So you have that respect factor there. So I think coaches are important. Coaches, good male teachers, although
Yeah.
they're rare.
Yeah.
You know, mentors, people who in the community who just have a knack for helping the youth, you know, guys that want to help other young people navigate this world because they didn't have anyone to help them navigate the world. People like that are very, very important. They don't replace the father, but they're very helpful, you know, to guide
Yeah.
young men who need it.
Yeah. Without
yes,
question.
that is very important. That comes from like uncles, cousins, male
Yeah.
figures, period. Role models, period. Male figures are very important as well. What could you tell, one by one? What could you tell a young father that might not realize how important it is to be in his or her child's life?
Well, honestly, at this point, I think in my generation, that's a rarity because most of us didn't have our fathers in our lives. So we want to be involved in our children's lives. And a lot of time we're pushed out. So there's a lot of dysfunction going on to where fathers aren't fathers are kind of robbed from the opportunity to really be involved in the way that they would like to, essentially, after the relationship breaks apart. However, I think it's our responsibility as men to inform each other on how to utilize the legal system in our favor that can be often weaponized against us.
Yeah. 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 That's a dope point, bro. Like I say, and then I got experience with that too because when I got married, I started off with a blended family. I had a child, and my wife at the time had a child already, and we both had boys. Now with my son and his mom, we had issues. So I was in his life for a period, and then I was taken out of his life for a period, and I had to go through the court system to fight. And I say,
Yeah.
lose, like I've had judges look me in my face and say, "Well, what you want me to do?" And it's just like I just want the same access to my child as his mother. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I'm not asking for no more than that. So it shouldn't even be a problem. You know what I'm saying? And what I find out is that those men who are willing to be fathers have a harder time than those who don't.
Bingo. I've seen that pattern as well. I've noticed that common thread over the years. That's
You know
very
what
true.
I'm saying? And it's like if we want our homes to be better, if we want our communities to be better as men, we gotta look like you was just mentioning, bro. Like most men growing up our age, you know what I'm saying? I'm in my 40s, late 40s going into 50. You know, a lot of my friends didn't have their father in their life. So they didn't have a lot of that. Even though we had mentors and coaches, like you were saying, and stuff like that, a lot of them didn't have that direct man in their house. You know what I'm saying? And we grew up and everybody go out in the world and we have our own different experiences. But when you start having a child, when you start having children, you got to say to yourself, look at your personal experience and say, do you want to bring your child up in that same experience?
Right. Or allow them to have that same experience because
You
you're
know what I'm
not
saying?
able to bring them up. Yeah.
Right. And
Because
so it's
yeah,
like, if I want you to be better, I gotta put you in an environment to help you become better.
correct.
But that has to be
100%.
the man. That has to be that individual father's mentality when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? You got to want to do it. You got to want, like, all parents, all good parents, let me say that, all good parents want their children to be better than them.
Right.
Don't be like me. Be better
For
than me.
real. Yeah.
You know what I'm
For real.
saying?
Especially when you was in them younger days,
That,
right?
I mean,
Nah, I'm
Right.
just
man,
kidding.
like straight up, like for real. You know what I'm saying? Because
When
like
you
I
was in them younger days,
look
you was out
outside,
there doing that.
Right.
outside in them streets. You know what I'm saying? Because you know the streets are attractive. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And especially how you, it depends on how you raised. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, no matter how you raised, the streets are still attractive. You know what I'm
And,
saying?
and
And
and your father can divert you from going into the streets because you got that backbone in the house. Like, hey, what you think you doing? Where you think you
right,
going?
what you
No.
want,
You
like,
gotta check in. Yeah.
yeah, you
No,
got to
no. You
check
know what I mean?
in.
Like, yeah.
For real, for real. And so it's just like, you know, like I had a healthy respect and I still do for my father now. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, I got 5 kids. I still look at my father like, we cool, but at the end of the day, I respect the position that he's in. Like he's always gonna be my father, no matter how many kids or how old I get.
Sure, of
You know,
course. Right.
and I never lose sight of that. Like, you know, I'm gonna draw the line on how cool I get with you, because at the end of the day, you still pops.
Exactly. There has
You
to
know
be
what I'm
that
saying?
level of respect there. Just like it has to
Gotta
be with your children. You could have
gotta
a
be that.
friendly relationship to where that's like your right hand, but at the end of the day, there got to be that respect line that you don't cross, because I am the director. I am the captain of this ship here,
Yeah,
and my
yeah.
word is law.
That's it. That's it. You know.
Hassan, Hassan, what was your biggest challenges of what is your biggest challenge? Because of course you're in the middle right now of raising children. What do you think the biggest challenge for fathers are?
Okay. As far as a full-time single father,
Correct.
I would say navigating um, work life and taking care of children, especially when you're, you know, an aspiring entrepreneur or an aspiring musician, someone
Tough,
who has their own ambitions
tough.
while also staying grounded with your responsibilities. You can't just take off to a different city. Like, like before I became a full dad, I was bouncing city to city in the wintertime hustling and, you know what I mean, doing all kind of different things, you know what I mean? But once I got my son full time, he was just about to turn 7 years old. It's a whole different thing. You
Yeah.
got to stay home and make sure everything it's a smooth ship.
Mhm.
But as the most difficult part is when they're younger. As they get older and they can be more autonomous. Like my son that I have full time is 15 now. So he's out hanging out at the mall. I just tell him check in, send me a text. I got his location. We're good. My baby girl, she's sitting in the car right next to me. She want to listen to her phone and stuff like that. Long story, I got my cousin's car next to me. I'm in my car. But she be with me most of the time, either that, daycare, family. Even when I'm out doing stuff for my company, she'll ride a little scooter beside me sometimes. And you just got to make it work. You got to improvise.
Yes, sir.
Shout
But
out to Mr. Barentos. Thank you for tuning in to Real Life Topics Podcast and Bigs Radio. So,
it's my guy.
Mr. Hassan, I just want you to just give a couple minutes worth of numbers, because your artist name is Numbers and you're an up and coming artist. So if you could just tell the audience just a little bit about that. Of course you are an entrepreneur and you are, and where are you from anyway? We of course you're from a different state. If you could just give us
Yeah,
just a small minute summary of your entrepreneur, because of course you're the roofing company, and then you are an artist and your artist name is Numbers. Who is Numbers,
I'll
and what
break it.
type of music are you doing?
I'll break it down to you. So I'm from Tacoma, Washington. I was raised in Lakewood primarily, and I live in Seattle, Washington. Now, my artist persona Numbers is, so I've made music since I was a teenager, and I've always been that guy to where let you hear my music and people get that reaction like, yo, that's you? Like this sound like this should be a thing. Um, but you got to navigate and learn how to get yourself out there and whatnot. So I took that path along with the entrepreneurial path side by side, selling this, selling that, selling CDs, selling merchandise, traveling around, and ended up opening for major artists at a certain point in time prior to my daughter being born. But yeah, the sound that you could expect when you hear someone like me, I would say it's in a similar lane as like kind of like a Currency. You know, there's some Fabulous influence, there's some Lil Wayne influence. I consider myself more of an artist songwriter, someone who just likes to vibe out. You know, like to create something that's you can think to, but at the same time you can have fun.
Great, great. Well, there you get that. There you have it, guys. Hassan Blount, better known as Numbers, up and coming rap artist, and of course, a single father, which is our topic for today. Which was our topic for today, being single fathers. Hassan Blount, what is the importance of fatherhood? If you can just give Real Life Topics podcast and Biggs Radio audience the definition, your definition of the importance of fatherhood.
Fathers teach children to live life intentionally. They are um like a guideline to follow. Fathers bring that structure and they bring you from point A to point Z in life. A father's thinking ahead down the line. Okay, what is this child's gifts? How can I nurture those gifts? How can I put them in position to be in the best possible position as an adult when they grow up? You know, fathers are always thinking long term and planning and putting that structure in place to attempt to prevent you from falling. And then when you do fall, teach you that lesson. Okay, what'd you learn?
I wanted to bring up one pointer about fathers as well before Tommy Gunz comes with his definition of why it is important of fathers. Is do you guys realize that when newborns are newborn, what is the first thing that a newborn should do?
You
When
said
the
what?
newborn, when children are born, what is
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that they recommend that the newborn does when they first come out the womb?
Be held by the, oh, go ahead.
Skin
Yeah, I
to
mean,
skin
yeah.
with the father. Skin to skin with the father. The newborn always has to be releases oxytocin on.
Oxytocin. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you guys know that
Well, you know,
and make.
no, I don't. I didn't know that, but it's crazy because all of my children, I was in a delivery room, like watching them be born, cutting umbilical cords. But I was never the first to hold them. It was the doctor, and then it was the mother, and then I came later on. But I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
skin to skin contact. The first thing that is good for a newborn baby is to have that skin to skin contact with their father. It's a caregiving behavior and it is secures attachment for their whole life future.
Okay, well, it's too late for me now. I got my tubes tied, so all I can do is just tell. All I can do is tell somebody what to do now.
Mr. Tommy Guns, what is your definition of fatherhood? Why is it important for fatherhood?
A father's gonna give you structure, discipline, and teach you how to operate in logic while being in control of your emotions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what my father taught me. And he taught me how to be on time. How timing is important to how you carry yourself, how you behave, how you develop, what opportunities are gonna come. You know what I'm saying? And so that discipline and that structure and knowing that somebody was always speaking into me, I do the same thing with my kids. Like when your father speaks into you as a kid, like as a kid growing up, we feel like our fathers can do anything. Like my father was like Superman to me. You know what I'm saying? And so to hear Superman speak to me like you Superman too. And now that I'm older, I value it and I give it to my kids. Like, I let them know that, you Superman, you Superwoman. And like I said, I got 3 boys, 2 girls. I got 2 adults. I got my teenage girls are in college right now. One's a sophomore, one's a freshman. My baby boy is a sophomore in high school. So, you know what I mean? And so I'm always speaking into them, letting them know that you got superpowers too. You just have to use your faith. And that's something that's going to be developed over time. Like, I can't give you a manual on faith. You just got to watch me. That's why I tell my kids, I don't just tell you what to do. I show you what to do. And to me, a father is important in that way because your father's gonna tell you the father's the problem solver. Man, let me solve this problem.
Yeah.
So that's that's why
So there
manhood
you
is
have it.
important.
The importance of fatherhood, guys. And if you guys are out there and don't know how important it is for a father, just look at the statistics. 85% of males and females that are in prison right now is because a father was not in the household. A lot of children are out here struggling right now today,
Mhm.
especially in 2026. Look at all those teenagers downtown
Right, the
Chicago
teenage
going
takeover.
wild. And yes, the takeovers. This is all because there is not a father in the household. This is a big deal, guys. Shout out to Mr. Barron Toes. He said Hassan has been ambitious and always looked to the future since we were kids. He is a great father and a great man. Shout out to
Right, what's
Mr.
up?
Blunt. You're
My
a great
God, man.
father and a great
Appreciate you,
man.
bro.
But I want
Appreciate you,
to
man.
thank Mr. Tommy Gunz from Bridging the Gap Show and Hassan Blunt, better known as Numbers, for joining Stephanie's God Child on Real Life Topics podcast. I hope we can do part 2 very soon,
Oh
guys,
yeah,
because we have so much more to talk about and so
so
much
much
many
more.
things that we can discuss. But I want to thank you guys for coming through on Biggs Radio and Real Life Topics podcast. Make sure everyone out there follow, like, share Real Life Topics
That's right.
podcast. Follow, like,
Yeah,
share Tommy Gunz, Mr. Hassan Blunt, better known as Numbers. It's a lot of
Hey,
things coming soon for us
hey,
come on.
all,
Let's go,
guys.
baby. Let's go,
And
hey,
baby.
always know that fathers in the households are important. It's a big void if you
Mhm.
are not there, fathers.
that's right. That's right. Hey,
I'm
check it
just
out,
saying.
Hassan. I want to work with you, bro, on the music side, man. So we gonna connect, and
Okay, for sure.
send me some stuff for radio, man, so I can get you in rotation, bro.
Man, I appreciate that. I'm gonna tap in with you. Yeah, we'll sort it out. I'll talk to
Yeah.
we'll talk behind the scenes.
Okay, yes, sir.
All
We gonna
right,
definitely gonna
guys.
connect. And
Yes,
thank you
sir.
so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come on the platform with you. I appreciate you so much. And for everybody that's listening, hey man, I'm in this competition, entrepreneur impact, and I could use y'all vote, man. I'm in the top 10 right now. So if y'all go to Linktree/Tommy Gunz, that's all my social media platforms. Just click on there, vote for me, man, and listen to the Bridging the Gap show. I appreciate y'all.
And how could they follow you, Mr. Blunt?
So you can go to my TikTok page. I just put out the first post up there, a sample of my music of what's to come. On TikTok, it's at Infonumbers. If you type in numbers or at Infonumbers. And also my roofing company. We work with mostly mortgage companies, but if you hit us up, you got something going on with your roof, we'll be happy to come check it out for you if you're in the Seattle or Tacoma area. And that's Phil and Sons Roofing. You can find us on Google, Facebook, all the above. And
All right,
There
thank
that's
you
you
what's
so
have
up.
it,
much for having
guys.
me
Thank you
on.
for
I
tuning
greatly
in.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to Biggs Radio and Real Life Topics Podcast. Make sure you go to www.biggsradio.com where WCHI taking you from the 8-track to the latest app. Have a good evening, guys. See you next Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Peace and blessings.
Later.